goes your mind when you're running kind of the fairly OddGamer.
Thank you! Hello Internet viewers, I'm the Fairly Odd Gamer, and perhaps some of you know that one of my favorite video game franchises is Sonic the Hedgehog. And how could it not be? For more than 25 years, Sonic has been praised and admired by fans around the world, and for the most part, the Sonic games are fun to play. From the classic Genesis games to the modern games of today, Sonic has become a longtime favorite for gamers. So to further express my appreciation with the blue blur, I've put together a list of Sonic games that I personally enjoy. Now, keep in mind that this is all opinion-based and not everyone will agree with what I like. So with that being said, here's a top 10 list of my favorite Sonic games. Number 10. Sonic Forces. Now I know why people don't like this game that much, but I personally think the game is okay. It has decent graphics, decent character designs, and the gameplay is pretty good. For the most part. While I do like the gameplay for modern Sonic and the Avatar, I don't like the gameplay for classic Sonic. I feel that it is a bit too heavy when it comes to control, and I'm going to be honest, when I first saw classic Sonic in the trailer, I thought that this was going to be a sequel to Sonic Generations. Even though the developer said it wasn't, I still beg to differ on that. The reason is that they brought back classic levels such as Green Hill Zone from Sonic 1, Chemical Plant Zone from Sonic 2, and Death Egg Zone from Sonic 3 and Knuckles. So to me, it feels like a not so good sequel to Sonic Generations. Speaking of which, the levels are somewhat short, but I'm actually okay with that. It's similar to how some Call Me Johnny likes playing as Team Rose in Sonic Heroes. And then there's the main villain, Infinite. He's a villain that I would consider laughably bad, mainly because of his dialogue, especially with this line.
I'm not weak. I am not weak.
Now after hearing that line, do you think I would take this guy seriously?
I don't think so.
I do have mixed opinions about the song Fist Bump. While it does sound good in the end, I feel like the beginning sounds like I Am All of Me from Shadow the Hedgehog. I do like the double boost feature in the game, but nowadays it's become a well-known meme on the internet. While the game has received mixed opinions by both fans and critics, I still think the game is okay. Play the game and see for yourself. Number 9. Sonic Generations. Released during Sonic's 20th anniversary, Sonic Generations brings back some of the most well-known levels from his earlier titles from Sonic 1 to Sonic Colors. Not only do you play as classic Sonic with his 2D side-scroller elements, but you also play as modern Sonic, giving each level a contemporary feel. And hearing remixed versions of the level music definitely brings back nostalgia. The story's pretty good too. Tails and friends set up a surprise party for Sonic, not knowing Sonic's age of course, but it gets cut short when Sonic's friends are sucked in a monstrous black hole known as the Time Eater, and leaving Sonic in a white void with no color in sight. It's up to Sonic and, well, Sonic, to save his friends and stop Eggman from taking over the world. Yeah, we all know who's behind this. And going back to the gameplay, the boss battles are incredible. Not only the main boss battles, but also the battles against other characters, especially Shadow. I love how it starts off taking elements from the intro of Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, as well as hearing Live and Learn whenever he attacks Shadow in the level. Overall, Sonic Generations is an awesome game because it perfectly combines the elements of both the classic and modern eras of Sonic. It's a good way to look back into Sonic's history of games. Number 8. Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. The game was originally released on the Sega Dreamcast for Sonic's 10th anniversary and later ported onto the GameCube as well as later consoles. Sonic Adventure 2 is a great game, but I think it's somewhat inferior to its predecessor, Sonic Adventure 1. And here's why. In terms of gameplay, I love playing the Sonic and Shadow stages. The mech stages are okay, with the exception of Tails, because I don't understand why he should be in a mech in the first place. It makes perfect sense for Eggman, but why Tails? But it doesn't compare to the treasure hunting levels in this game. Not only do they butcher the radar by having you find one emerald piece at a time, but also the hint system gives you no visual idea as to where the emerald piece is. While I do like the Knuckles stages because of the music, I'm not okay with some of Rouge's stages. A couple of examples include Security Hall, which has you find 3 Chaos Emeralds under a time limit, and Mad Space, which has terrible gravity gimmicks, as well as a hint system being reversed. The story can be a bit clunky at times because of its amount of plot holes, but I don't think it affects the rest of the game though. I do love the game's music, but I think it should have more variety instead of having rock music for a majority of the game. Other than that, it's a pretty good game, and something I can play whenever I can. Number 7. Sonic the Hedgehog 1, the original game that started it all. This game got us all hyped up for the blue blur, and I can see why. I love seeing Sonic jump on enemies and run by loops at the speed of sound. Levels such as Green Hill Zone and Starlight Zone are levels that fans love because we get to see Sonic at high speed. You can clearly see why he's called the fastest thing alive.
He's the fastest thing alive!
But not everything in this game is perfect. I'm not a big fan of Labyrinth Zone because of his inability to swim, as well as his slowdown whenever he's underwater. And the special stages can be a bit hard to control, but I'm sure experienced players will get the hang of it easily. Other than that, the game is still as good as fans remember it. It has good graphics, good level design, and the music is awesome as ever. If you haven't played it yet, there's a lot of ways to play the game, whether on the Genesis, compilation games, you name it and it's on there. Number 6. Sonic Riders. This is one of the only good games to come during Sonic's 15th anniversary, and since I previously reviewed this game, it'd be a bit redundant to talk about it here. I still think the gameplay is decent once you get used to the controls, that is. However, there's one thing in my review that I'd like to expand upon, and that is the mission mode. Mission mode provides a lot of challenges, hence the doing tasks part, and collecting junk, and sometimes treasure, lets you unlock new gear to purchase in the shop. Thank you, Silver Gaming, for pointing it out. There's also another moment that I want to talk about, and this is something I said at the very beginning of the review. One of which is a game that I personally enjoy, but other people seem to not like. Now, from what I've heard, there are other people that like this game as well. Like Sonic Forces, it got a mixed reception from both fans and critics. So with that in mind, I would like to say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for making an assumption that is not true. I should have done more research on it, and I should know better than that. I admit that you were right, and I was wrong. And I hope to never make that mistake again in the future. Now that that's out of the way, let's continue the countdown. Number 5. Sonic Heroes. This was the first 3D Sonic game I ever played. Well, besides Sonic 3D Blast for the Genesis, but that doesn't count. It was also my introduction to team-based gameplay where you play as 3 characters at once. That is until I found out you can play as up to 12 characters, each separated into 4 teams. Sonic, Dark, Rose, and Chaotix. The gameplay is pretty good, even though the controls can be a bit off at some points, especially with the special stages. Out of all characters in the game, I enjoy playing as Omega because if you level him up, he gets an upgraded missile attack. Oh yeah, and each character levels up whether you cross a checkpoint or collect a level up item after defeating enemies or hitting a box that has it. But other than that, I do love the aesthetics of the game. The character design, the levels, and the enemies, even though they now have health bars. You can even perform the Team Blast attack, which basically destroys all enemies in a certain area. One thing I don't like about this game, besides the controls, is the fact that each team has to endure all the same stages. The music is okay, but not something I would listen to on a daily basis. Overall, Sonic Heroes is a decent 3D Sonic game, and a recommendation to all Sonic fans. Number 4. Sonic Adventure. Out of all the games on this list, this is my favorite 3D Sonic game of all time. In fact, this is the game that made Sonic's successful transition from 2D to 3D, and it's awesome. The game was released on the Sega Dreamcast in 1999, which at the time was a big gamble for Sega. It ultimately paid off because it became a successful relaunch of the franchise. It's an amazing game from the story, the characters, and even the level design is awesome. The music is amazing as well. I love the variety of music in the game, from rock to pop and even techno. It's all there. By the way, did you know that the rapper from Unknown from Emmy is the same guy who voiced Parappa the Rapper? I wonder if anyone else can replicate this guy's rapping.
Here I come, rougher than the rest of them, the best of them, tougher than leather. You can call me Knuckles, I like Sonic, I'll chuckle.
Hux, what are you doing?
Whoa, sorry dude. I thought maybe I could do a version of Knuckles theme myself. I know you did it some time ago and failed miserably. Here I come, rougher than the rest of them, the best of them, tougher than leather.
Oh, I see. Anyway, carry on with whatever you're doing.
Okay, cool. Later, dude. Here I come, rougher than the rest of them, the best of them, tougher than leather. You can call me Knuckles.
But besides that, the rest of the music is amazing. I would put this higher on this list, except there's only one problem. Big the Cat. His gameplay is not very good, and he has nothing to do with the story. All you do is fish for Froggy in every level, and it's not an enjoyable concept. If it were a minigame or something, then it would be fine. And again, it has nothing to do with the story at all. If you removed him from the game, it would change nothing. But other than that, the game is pretty good and was later reported on the GameCube called Sonic Adventure DX Director's Cut. And while I did grow over the DX port, I find that the Dreamcast version is much better in presentation. Not only were some of the graphics altered and sometimes removed, but the models look more plastic in comparison to the Dreamcast. But it's still a good version regardless, and I recommend you play this game whether it's the Dreamcast version or the DX port. Whichever you choose, you'll still have a good experience with Sonic Adventure. Number 3. Sonic 3 and Knuckles. For some fans, it's considered to be the best Sonic game of all time, and I can see why it is. The introduction of Knuckles, being able to save your progress, the elemental shields, and starting the second zone right after beating the first zone of a level. It's amazing. However, because of deadlines, the game was split in two. Sonic 3 was released in February of 1994, and Sonic & Knuckles was released 8 months later. Luckily, the Sonic & Knuckles cartridge has a lock-on feature. If you pop in Sonic 3 into the cartridge, then you get Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which is the true Sonic the Hedgehog 3. The gameplay overall is amazing. Not only do you play as Sonic and Tails, but you also play as Knuckles, and can even explore new areas that was never seen before. The music is pretty good too, even though some of the music was said to be made by Michael Jackson. Mainly with Carnival Night Zone and the credits music for Sonic 3. There's even a final boss segment which you can't get to unless you have all the emeralds, which you get by collecting all the blue spheres in the bonus levels. However, after collecting the Chaos Emeralds, you also collect Super Emeralds, which gives you the power of Hypersonic, an updated version of the Supersonic power-up. Overall, the game is absolutely amazing. If you haven't played it yet, please do whatever you can to play this game. Don't play Sonic 3 or Sonic & Knuckles alone. Play this game. It's definitely worth your time, and it's something you'll continue playing for years to come. Number 2. Sonic the Hedgehog 2. This was the first Sonic game I ever played on the Sega Genesis back in elementary school. I love the characters, the music, the level design, and the gameplay, and I think it still holds up today. The game introduces us to Tails, who I think is the perfect sidekick for Sonic, helping him out whenever he can to stop Dr. Eggman from taking over the world. The special stages can be very difficult to maneuver, but it's still better than Sonic Heroes. And if you collect all 7 Chaos Emeralds, you unlock Super Sonic. By getting at least 50 rings, you then turn to Super Sonic, which gives you faster speed and infinite invincibility. Some of my favorite stages include Chemical Plant Zone and Casino Night Zone, mainly because of the gambling concept. Oh, and I almost forgot. The game also introduces the Spin Dash, which to me is one of the best things in Sonic 2. You can move faster as well as defeating enemies while doing so. Years later, there will be an iOS version of the game. If you jump into the pit in Mystic Cave Zone, you can then play the Hidden Palace Zone, which is a beta level that was never released in the original game. Overall, Sonic 2 is a fantastic sequel to its predecessor. If you haven't played it yet, then please play it. It's a game that's definitely well worth your time playing. And my number 1 favorite Sonic game is Sonic Mania. Oh my gosh, you cannot believe how much I love this game. Sonic Mania was released about a year ago and was supposed to be the comeback of the classic Sonic era, and boy did it deliver. The graphics are amazing, the level design is amazing, combining old levels as well as new levels, and the music is amazing as well. GreenWoodLT is an amazing composer, and he captures the elements of the Genesis games perfectly with his music. I also love the music used in the opening animation, Friends by Hyper Potion. It's so awesome that I can even bop my head to the song whenever I play it on my phone. And one of the best things about this game is that this was made by the fans, for the fans. And once again, it delivers really well. The main gameplay is similar to Sonic 3 with its save feature, the blue sphere stages, the elemental shields, and starting the second stage right after the first zone. The actual special stages are, what I've heard, influenced by the special stages in Knuckles Chaotix, but it's still amazing regardless. I also love how in Oil Ocean Zone we can set the oil on fire with the fire shield. I guess that's the reason why Some Call Me Johnny is featured in the game's manual. There's now an updated version called Sonic Mania Plus. What got me really excited about it was the return of not only Ray the Flying Squirrel, but also Mighty the Armadillo as playable characters. When I first heard the announcement, I was excited as all heck. Playing as them here is always an excitement for me. While there are a few collision issues here and there, Sonic Mania is without a doubt my all-time favorite Sonic game. It has awesome music, awesome graphics, awesome level design. Everything in this game is awesome. And if you haven't played it, then I urge you to play this game right away. And trust me, you will have the same experience I had when I first played this game. Are there any Sonic games that I missed? Please let me know in the comments below. I would love to know what Sonic games you enjoy playing. I'm the Fairly OddGamer, and I wish you all good luck for the rest of your day or night, wherever you are. Take care, everyone.